So mixed martial arts, specifically the UFC, they keep delivering, man. They really keep delivering. Right now, we've got Sugar Sean O'Malley fighting Peter Yan, as Sean O'Malley likes to say. The fight is scheduled for UFC 280, October 22nd. Of course, the main event of that card is Charles Oliveira versus Islam Makhachev, which is another fight that has been announced. A really, really fun, interesting fight that we're still going to talk about later. But for now, I'm so fascinated with this matchup, bro. Like, I can't begin to tell you guys how interesting this matchup is. Sean O'Malley to face former bantamweight champion Petr Yan at UFC 280 on October 22nd in Abu Dhabi. Now, if you take a look at these two guys, take a look at their records, who they fought, who they've defeated. You look at Sean O'Malley. He's currently in what is this, like a 4-fight win streak right now. KO against Thomas Almeida, TKO against Chris Moutinho, TKO against Rolian Paiva, and then, of course, his last performance against Pedro Munoz, a fight that was going very well before the accidental eye poke that happened, and then the fight ended up being a no contest. So you take a look at it, man. He's been in there with some interesting fighters, but not compared to the level of opponents that Petr Yan has faced. I mean, he's faced Marlon Vera, which he lost, a fight that he lost. He faced Eddie Wineland. Eddie Wineland, I would say, will be considered like a veteran. Of course, he beat him. But besides that, you take a look at Sean O'Malley's record. I mean, when people say that he's a can crusher, you kind of take a look and it's like, there's some validity to that. But then you go over to Petr Yan, you take a look at who the man has fought. Of course, he's been in there with John Dodson. He's been in there with Jimmy Rivera. He's been in there with Uriah Faber. He stopped Jose Aldo. The first fight, he was beating the bejesus out of Aljamain Sterling before landing that illegal knee and getting disqualified. And then, this is the most interesting one right here. Corey Sandhagen. Of course, Corey Sandhagen is, like, I wouldn't say he is on the level of a Jose Aldo or Aljamain Sterling, but this, in my opinion, is the most relevant fight that Petr Yan has done, considering who he's about to fight next in Sean O'Malley. And then, of course, Petr Yan fought Aljamain Sterling the second time and lost by split decision. But you take a look at both of them, take a look at their record, take a look at who they fought. Clearly, we can tell who's faced the tougher competition. And so with that, I would definitely say that there are more questions for Sean O'Malley to answer, for sure. Way more questions for him to answer. It is him that's going to be bumping up in competition. Because so far, he hasn't faced anyone even close to the level of Petr Yan, a former champion in the bantamweight division. If he goes out there and he performs ridiculously well versus someone that was just literally the champion, someone who, let's just be real, a vast majority of people still considered to be the champion of that weight class. A lot of people will tell you that Petr Yan is definitely better, more skilled than Aljamain Sterling, even with the way the last fight went. If Sean O'Malley can go out there and defeat this man and put on a beautiful performance against this man, he can walk around with the confidence that he defeated a former champion. And if he didn't think before that he had the skills to back up the claim that he's going to be champion in this weight class, a win over Petr Yan is going to give him all the confidence he needs to know, I'm going to be champion in this weight class, hands down. I'm going to be champion. Now, for Petr Yan, of course, I talked about how the Corey Sandhagen fight is the Corey Sandhagen fight is the fight that I really look at, because Corey Sandhagen is the closest out of everyone that he's fought so far. He's the closest thing to a Sean O'Malley that I can see. They both have a very creative style of fighting. They're both very good strikers. I'm talking about Corey Sandhagen and Sean O'Malley. They're both around the same height. They both switch stances very well. They're both very kick heavy, but they can also box very well. Both of them have deceptive power. They have very good angles with their shots. And we've seen how Petr Yan handled that. We saw him deal very well with Corey Sandhagen. We saw his patience, his boxing, his kicks, his durability. We saw it all against Corey Sandhagen. And so, to me, I feel like I've already kind of seen this fight. Like, I've already seen it because I saw Petr Yan handle someone that I would compare very, very heavily to Sean O'Malley. Meanwhile, Sean O'Malley himself, you look and I don't know who you would say is the closest person to Petr Yan that Sean has fought. Like, you wouldn't say Thomas Almeida. Definitely not. Chito Vera, I would compare him to Petr Yan in the sense that they're both very patient. They have a very patient style. They take their time with it. They wait for the fight to kind of steam up a little bit before they get going. So I can compare both of them in that sense. But in terms of skill, Sean just hasn't faced anyone on that level. So I'm saying all this to say that Sean is the one that's going to have quite a lot to prove in this fight. He's going to have to prove to everyone that he's not just a can crusher. He's not the kind of guy that, you put him in there against someone that he's better than, he wins. But then if you put him in there against stiffer competition, he loses. He doesn't want to go down the he doesn't want to go down that route. That Uriah Hall route where you're such a huge prospect and then they put you in there with stiff competition and you shit the bed. You know what I mean? Like, he definitely doesn't want to be one of those guys. So I'm definitely really, really interested in this fight right here. You take a look at the fight card, UFC 280 right there. Charles Oliveira versus Islam Makhachev. So far, the two fights we have for sure confirmed is, of course, Charles versus Islam, and then Bilal Muhammad versus Sean Brady, which is... I know what everyone's going to say about Bilal Muhammad. I already know, all the jokes are going to come. But this is going to be a very fun card. I'm looking forward to seeing all the different fights being added. Of course, they just announced Sean O'Malley versus Petr Yan, but it will be so interesting to see who else gets added in there. So, right here, Sean O'Malley actually gives his thoughts on the fight. Let's go right ahead and listen to what he has to say.
I'm getting the fight that I wanted and the fight that the people want. I'm fighting Petr Yan October 22nd in Abu Dhabi. I think this is just I'm so excited for this. Like, I almost can't even believe it's real. It's happening. Petr Yan October 22nd.
Peter.
Hey, listen, man, everybody's going to be excited to see this fight. We've been wanting to see you in there with one of the top contenders in the weight class. But this is a stacked card. October 22nd, Abu Dhabi. You got Charles Oliveira. He's defending, trying to get his belt back against Islam Makhachev. We also have Aljamain Sterling, TJ Dillashaw, now Sean O'Malley, and Petr Yan. What's it like to be on a card so huge and be one of the main attractions?
Yeah, I feel like my last 4 or 5 fights have just been stacked cards, and every time I feel like I'm the main event. But the Islam versus Charles is massive. I think you said it right. Islam's defending, or Charles is defending his belt.
Yeah.
Aljo versus TJ, super interesting fight. And then me versus Peter. It's crazy. Just those 3 fights alone could be the whole card, and it's an absolute banger.
True.
Man, absolutely. When you look at Petr Yan, this is a guy that was the champion, and he's run through some really good, top-notch opponents. What type of problems does a fighter like that, as experienced and as accomplished as he is, present to a guy like you?
All the problems.
Yeah, I mean, in my eyes, Peter's, he's obviously the number 1 contender right now. He's pretty much 1-1 against Aljo. He whooped Aljo the first fight. And then he got kind of, whooped up in the second fight. But, I mean, he could be considered the champion.
Yeah.
The whole top 5, really. I mean, the way Peter beat Jose Aldo was one of my favorite performances of Petr Yan. So going in there and stepping up against a guy like Peter's is exciting. It's motivating. And it's, it's the biggest fight in the bantamweight division right now. I think it's bigger than Aljo versus TJ.
You guys can let me know what you think about that. Do you think it's bigger than Aljo versus TJ? I think it's more interesting. If I'm being completely honest, man, I think it's a more interesting fight than Aljo versus TJ. But also anytime TJ Dillashaw is fighting, it's always a good time. It really is. Anyways, this is going to be it. Like I said, very interesting fight. Most of the questions will be for Sean O'Malley. We'll get to see how he performs against real competition this time. You know, not some of the other opponents he's been facing. This is going to be some serious competition this time, and we get to see how he deals with that. But that is it, man. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about this fight announcement. Are you excited? How do you think it's going to go? Let me know in the comments, and I will see you guys later. Also, let me know in the comments if you guys enjoy these like late night strictly MMA style videos where I cover like mixed martial arts news, what's going on, or what I find interesting that's happening in the UFC specifically. If you guys enjoy these types of videos, like something to watch late at night, let me know. I'm kind of experimenting to see the sort of videos that I'm more interested in making around this time of day. This seems fun for me, to be honest with you guys, so I might just stick with this style, and then during the day I can do EA Sports UFC content. But yeah, just let me know in the comments what you guys think. Of course, I've talked about how around this time I might also like add jiu-jitsu content if I get rolling footage or something like that. But your feedback is always welcome. I always appreciate it. Don't ever think I don't appreciate your constructive criticism. I always do. And I'll leave it at that. So thank you for watching. It means a lot. I'll see you guys later. Peace out. Have a good night.